Yeah. I don't have like a starting bit. Robbie, you got anything funny you can kick us off with?
No, sorry.
All right, that's fine.
I didn't plan any bits.
We're all very tired. So as you guys know, I don't start the podcast yet. So it'll either be just really nothing, just completely dead, or something along the lines of welcome late to the movies. My name's Ben Holden. This is a podcast where my friends and I get to fill in our movie blind spots. Each week we'll pick a movie that either I or a guest hadn't seen before and really should have by now. This week, continuing our current, now out of date, but whatever, roundup of some of the Best Picture nominees from the 95th Academy Awards. This week is Banshees of Inisherin. Your guests, left to right across your podcast aisle. We got Lindsey.
Hi.
Hi. We got Robbie.
Hey.
And Jordan.
Hello.
Hello. It's been like so long since it's someone's first time on the podcast. So welcome,
Yay.
Lindsey.
Thank
It's all the way from Texas just for this. So I'm really happy that you made a bit of a detour to come to the podcast.
I'm honored to be a guest.
And we're happy to have you. Before we can talk about the movie too much, normally this is where I would say, have you guys seen anything good recently? And I don't know how good it was, but last night we all watched the Oscars. This isn't coming out for another week, but hopefully people still care to hear. You know, the Oscars just happened less than 24 hours ago for us. What'd you guys think?
I had fun.
Good.
I really liked it. I thought it was a very like down to earth ceremony. I think like people can't make the normal complaints of it was an elitist party. Like it was just like, these are the awards. Here's some clips. Maybe you want to go watch them now that you've seen the clips. Here's who won. Good. And then I just think there was a lot of really emotional awards and a lot of emotional speeches. And it wasn't the same tired old, like, I don't know. Everything normally, I've only seen 2 Oscars, so please take it with a grain of salt. But like, it felt a lot more wooden last year. The acceptance speeches didn't have as much like everything felt like a tremendous, like the end of a movie victory compared to like a, hey, thanks, this is my 5th award. I'm so proud of it. I don't know. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was more of a traditional feel on purpose because they were trying to go back to basics. Last year had...
I was glad about that.
Yeah, for sure. A weird mix of kind of boring winners with also the sort of desperate seeming attempts at relevancy. Last year they were trying to target people who don't like movies for some reason. But this year they just, sort of gave into being about movies. Who knew? It seems to have worked better for them.
Does everybody always thank their mom? I feel like that like extra people thanked their mom this year.
It did seem to be a point of emphasis.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about that, and I think it's because all the movies were about how we want our parents to apologize, and they were like, but not you, Mom. I'm sorry. Don't take this personally. I didn't make a whole movie to dunk on you.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Not necessarily dunk on you, but like
just so everyone
work
at home
some
knows.
stuff out for sure.
My mom is cool. I love her.
Yeah.
Right.
Turning Red lost, but that's maybe even more directly about that than Everything Everywhere All at Once. But that's certainly part of Everything Everywhere also.
Yeah, Turning Red got so little attention. And I don't know. I really liked it. It's crazy for Pixar to just kind of like.
Yeah, I was surprised
Yeah.
it didn't win.
Yeah, I was up against the behemoth though of Guillermo del Toro backed stop motion.
Is that
animation?
his first?
Isn't a genre; it's a whole art form. Campaigning, you know.
Is this his first like animated thing? No.
No, he's really into animation. I don't know if he has a feature before that's won an Oscar though. But I wasn't prepared for that particular bit of trivia.
Well, I guess you don't know movies. We figured it out.
I guess not. So I don't know if we realized, but it was obviously a crazy night for a lot of records to be broken. We haven't had... I guess it's the closest thing to a sweep that we've had in a while. Everything Everywhere All at Once could have won 10 awards. It won 7, but it won all the big ones that it was up for. And not a big 5 winner because it didn't even compete in Best Actor, but it did win 5 above the line. So that's director, picture, and acting. It won 5 above the line categories. It's the first movie to ever do that in 95 years of Academy Awards.
Oh my God.
A24 who is the distributor of Banshee of not Banshee of Everything Everywhere All at Once and The Whale. So they won all of the above the line categories. They're the first studio to ever win all 4 acting awards.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a big night. Put together A24 and Netflix won 15 of the 24 categories. Bad night for traditional studios unless you're Warner Brothers, who got a long commercial right in the middle of the program, or Disney, who got to air a Little Mermaid trailer right in the middle of the program.
Thank these movies for getting us back into theaters. We didn't like them, but Netflix.
Yeah. For a while there was definite fear on my part that there was everything all at Everything Everywhere All at Once and All Quiet on the Western Front won a lot of awards, so it's hard to sort of separate those. But All Quiet on the Western Front, in the middle part of the show when they were doing all the technical categories, was just rolling. We were hearing those 3 droning tones over and over, over and over again. And just mild-mannered German after German just giving acceptance speeches. And we were kind of, I don't know, on life support there for a bit in the middle of the show, I felt like.
Well, it was bad for me because my ballot was really not doing well at the beginning. It wasn't until the very end that I actually earned a few points that put me above Renly's ballot.
Yep. Greg and Ray, they had, I guess you referred to it as random sampling in the form of
essentially random sampling ballot. I was behind for
their daughter, who saw 0 of these movies besides the animateds, filled out a ballot and didn't get a 0.
4 out of the 6. Or 4 out of the whatever. I got 6. So
yeah, you got 6. So you just edged out Ray.
Just edged out random sampling. So that's good.
So you'll watch more next year and get up to double her score.
No, well, I mean, this year
she'll watch more next year too. Maybe that'll be the problem.
I didn't try to win this year either. I didn't have a feel like I could. Like I put Fablemans for Best Picture. That was my favorite, but they weren't gonna win Best Picture.
Yeah, I like voting with your heart also.
It was fine.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, overall interesting wins. It's weird to live in a world now where Daniels have as many Oscars as Steven Spielberg. They're tied with 3. So
I liked them.
I did too.
When they gave their acceptance speeches, I really liked all the things that they said. It's really nice.
Yeah. Let's transition into the movie we are talking about this week. Banshees of Inisherin. Before I guess we usually say, like, just general first time being on the podcast stuff. Do you watch a lot of movies?
I always go, make a push for the Oscars because we've been doing that for 10 years. But in general, I would have said not really. But for the past 9 months, I've been dating someone who watches a lot of movies, and so I've been watching a lot.
That'll
movies.
do it. Yeah.
Especially the big difference for me this year is I'm seeing a lot in theaters. Like I haven't done that in a really long time, but I have a Alamo Drafthouse pass, and so I go a lot now.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen anyone thrown out for being on their phone or whatever?
No, I haven't. But I watched that or listened to that fun voicemail recording. Do you know that is their thing? Mm-hmm. Your little crappy ass theater, kind of why they got that motto. Somebody got kicked out, was really mad about it, and left a funny voicemail. That's good. You should look it up. The only vegetarian thing I can eat there, though, is the buffalo cauliflower, and I'm getting kind of sick of it. So.
Is there popcorn not vegetarian?
Oh, I can eat the popcorn, but I mean a meal.
Yeah. Yeah. Their thing is food and stuff.
Oh, gotcha.
Do they have pickles?
Not the same way that AMC does in Texas.
Okay.
I
read about this on Reddit.
Okay, I was going to move on for what are you guys talking about?
You don't know? They have, oh, you guys tell it. I didn't know it. Jordan asked me about it.
Pickles are a thing that they serve in movie theaters at Texas. They do.
Really?
Popcorn here-ish?
Yeah.
It's a super, what I read on Reddit, people were surprised in Texas that other movie theaters didn't do it. It was you go to the movies and you get popcorn. They're you go to the movies, you get a pickle and I guess popcorn too.
Yeah. Is it sliced? Is it fried?
Have you seen those
pickles, or-
big bag of like, it's like a giant, it's like a cucumber in a bag?
Yeah.
I think it was that, if I remember correctly.
I think it's like a whole.
It's like a
So
whole,
like
like, yeah. It's like a little cucumber, but pickled.
Yeah.
Describing a
he
pickle.
gets pickles.
But it's not slices. It's just like a full, like,
It's a full like spear.
Full on
Yeah.
pickle. Yeah.
It's a pickle.
it's a pickle. It's cucumber and vinegar. I know. I'm back to describing pickles.
Okay, cool. Robbie, was you never wild?
What?
I'm transitioning.
Was I never wild?
You're kind of doing the responding line.
Oh, from Banshees.
What?
I don't remember
Was
what
I
the
never wild?
feck.
I would not have remembered that as a line for some reason.
Yeah. It's a great line. That whole scene's amazing.
You didn't say it in an Irish accent. Maybe that's what got me.
What did he mean by that?
Well, that was her question.
Oh,
it's just
yeah.
Dominic.
I think it
I
was
found that
like,
so weird.
Was your
I
like
ever wild?
Did you ever party like
Yeah,
were you ever like
fancy free and stuff?
were you ever fun? It might be an insult too. He might have asked her if she was ever fun, and she's like, "Are you asking me if I've ever been fun?" Like, of course. So I don't know though.
Yeah. But
It
I think
could-
coming from him, it has a creepy edge.
Gotcha.
Just,
yeah.
just
Okay.
cause.
Yeah. Yep.
That's how she takes it, at least.
Yeah.
He was asking
Very
if she was
indignant.
ever on Girls Gone Wild.
Right.
Yeah,
Basically.
that must be it.
That's kind of how I heard it, but I'm like, this
Yeah.
is the early 1900s, isn't it? Or something? Or
Yeah.
ish.
Yeah. When does it actually take place?
1920s.
I think so.
So-
Irish Civil War.
right,
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
which I thought was really interesting to see in the background of everything.
Hold on.
Sorry.
We need a 1-minute plot summary before we can talk about the movie. My attempted smoothly transitioning weirdly kind of worked, but also kind of died in the room. Who wants to give us a 1-minute plot summary of
Not me.
Banshees of Inisherin?
I could try, but it's,
You can try.
You've been the most recent to watch the full thing.
Oh, that's a good qualification.
Okay. Are you gonna time me?
I am timing you.
Are you gonna tell me when?
You'll stop
Whenever you
when you
want.
hear the womp womp womp.
Okay. So the movie takes place on a little island off the coast of Ireland with two friends, Colm and Patrick. And Colm decides that he doesn't want to be friends with Patrick anymore. And Patrick lives with his sister, and he's trying to figure out why Colm doesn't want to be his friend. And in order to insist that Colm doesn't want to be his friend, he starts cutting his fingers off. He first threatens it, and then he actually does. And then he throws all of his fingers at Patrick's door, and Patrick's donkey eats it
30 seconds.
and chokes on it and dies. And Patrick all along had been very happy-go-lucky until Jenny dies. And then he gets very upset with Colm and threatens to burn his house down with him in it. And he does, but he doesn't stay in the house. And then they're going to feud until the end of time.
50 seconds. Good job. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yep.
Has this happened to any of you?
Oh, all the time. I got a big jar of fingers in the closet. I mean, like, what do you do with them?
Yeah, or I guess, I mean, a more real question is this, maybe not to this extent, but like a real fear that I feel like a lot of people have is like, do all my friends not actually like me?
That is really sad, huh?
Yeah.
Oh my
It's sad.
goodness. Yeah, I mean... what a terrible thing. Like, to just be concerned that your friend... Well, okay, here's the thing. I don't understand Colm. The reason he gives is, like, he wants to, like, focus on the legacy he's leaving and make music, right? And I'm like, okay, well, that's the whole debate, right? For me, anyway. Like, what about this is moral? Is he right to want to work on his legacy, or should he value friendship? But, yeah, I don't know. I don't support Colm.
I kind of come down on Siobhan's side, like, you know, you're all fucking boring,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
it's like, No one's going to care about your music either, dude.
Yeah.
Like, just don't be an asshole.
There was never a reason presented either why he couldn't do both. He said he listened to him talk for 2 hours, but that doesn't mean you have to go to, if you ever talk to me again, I'm going to cut my fingers off. He could say like, I can only see you twice a week.
There were steps to take.
There was very many steps between, where we ended up and where they started.
Yeah. And it seems like Patrick's a farmer, but I don't know that Colm is doing too much. He has maybe like a wood workshop. He has all those like masks and like clocks and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think
I like that they never like say that. I don't care, but
we're kind of talking about a time.
It just seems like he has a lot of time.
Well, I think they all just have a lot of time. It seems like their main priority is like, if you have enough to eat, what else do you need to do? Like,
it's a small island. It's the early 20th century.
Do you have an extra 2 pence for a beer at the pub? Like, that's the only place you're spending money. I don't even know what else you spend money on. Like,
right. And even that seems to be more of a communal environment. Like if Dominic's drinking, like he doesn't have his own money.
Yeah, and I mean, like for all we know, Colm doesn't work until it's harvest time, and then he does the harvest. That's enough to get his spending or whatever. I don't know. Yeah, there's.
Yeah.
It is interesting though, because it's a snapshot of time I wouldn't have considered. Like, it's a very small community on an island in the 20s. Like, they definitely had different priorities and different, like, money didn't mean this much. I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah. Everyone walks everywhere.
Yeah.
Everyone's got fantastic sweaters.
Walking up and down that path. I just thought that was so wonderful.
It is nice. All the stone walls.
Oh, yeah. Just beautiful.
In every direction.
Where did they shoot that? Did they actually shoot it in Ireland?
They did, I believe. Most of the buildings they built.
Okay. But the landscapes were Ireland.
I believe so, yeah.
It was really beautiful.
Yeah.
It definitely looked like Ireland. I mean, from the
Very
tourism
green.
ads I've seen.
Right,
So.
yeah. Very green. I like that there's just straight up this is, we can get into hopefully a deeper and maybe more nuanced reading, but a literal just like banshee. What a fun thing to put in your story.
Woman?
Yeah, here's a spooky old lady who's just going to hang out observing stuff and making weird, ominous comments.
I can't imagine why people duck behind buildings when she's coming.
She seems to be having a good time.
I didn't really understand her. I mean, other than her like looking like a banshee and kind of behaving like a banshee. Like, what was her deal?
Well, I don't know. I mean, and I think like a fun thing about most characters in this movie is you can sort of debate like, so what was actually going on with this person?
True.
Were they just depressed, or like, as Colm says, was he just trying to amuse himself? Did he not actually care? He doesn't know either.
I think like, and I just thought about this as you posed the question, but first thing that pops in my head is she's what his sister would have become if she stayed on the island is like one reason to put her in there, because that's probably what her future would look like. You don't really get a lot from her, but she definitely has that like, I know more than you kind of vibe, and like isn't surprised by things going on. And like, that's the trajectory the sister was on.
That's fair.
I mean, she does straight up portend death.
Right.
She does. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was clearly her stick. She just happened to leave it where Dominic would find. Like, that seems like...
Yeah. And yeah, it's one of the last things that Siobhan does before she decides, I guess, to leave or whatever, is when she sees... I think it's Mrs. McCormick is the lady's actual name, from across... Yeah, from across the lake. Yeah, exactly. And she's like beckoning her over before Dominic comes and like, propositions her.
Yeah.
And she's like, doesn't, she doesn't allow herself to be beckoned by the actual banshee.
All I could think of was like the scene from The Office where she's like, I thought I was going to be fine to be back on the market. And then Kevin asked me out.
Yeah, that seems amazing, but maybe we should work up to that through the plot. Colin Farrell stars in this movie. He was in a bunch of movies this year. This is not exactly like his performance in The Batman, under layers and layers of prosthetics playing the Penguin. But it's still good. I don't know what the but was going to lead to there. Colin Farrell is great also in Coconuts After Yang this year. Yeah, if you want. I can edit out the background noise either way. Doesn't matter to me. And yeah, I don't know if I had noticed quite how prodigious his eyebrow size was before this movie, but he does
I don't even think I really noticed that.
Does a lot of eyebrow work in this one. But anyway, he's amazing. And yeah.
He kind of looked like Phil Dunphy from Modern Family in this.
Oh, I see that.
I don't know why that was going through my head the whole time.
He also has big eyebrows.
And like he had that kind of like goofy, like happy-go-lucky personality.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and yeah, I don't know if it's actually really that useful to us to go plot beat by plot beat, but just to kind of set it up at the beginning, he's just going about a morning normally. There's like a choir singing or whatever.
There's literally, I know it because I rewatched the first half. There's literally the first shot of him. There's a rainbow right in the background. And it's like basically like out of it, there might as well be birds like flying around his head and tweeting. Like,
yeah.
It's like, oh, look at this happy guy. He's going to find his friend to go to the pub. What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah. And the first sequence is the first morning that Colm has decided to begin his new life as someone who doesn't talk to Patrick. And yeah, that's basically what happens. So
they're rowing.
I didn't think we were rowing.
Yeah, it seems like we're rowing.
It does seem like we're rowing.
So written and directed by Martin McDonagh, and one of the things I like about his writing is that repetition is, people are repeating lines back and forth to each other a lot in this movie. And I don't really have anything more to say about it other than I like that.
I like it too.
It's A+.
He's always been fucking dull.
Yeah. Then that's the first time that Siobhan runs back to the pub and is, because that's what, the second day or whatever, where that's later.
Sorry.
Way to go.
We're almost there.
Yeah, that's a whole other day. But yeah. So I don't know. It's just cool. The whole thing takes place over the course of 2 weeks or so, because they only go to church twice.
Oh,
I'm assuming.
Okay.
Right. There are two Sundays there.
Yeah, there's 2 Sundays. So it's anywhere from 8 to 14 days.
I guess it could technically go up to...
And then I think it's a day beyond the last Sunday.
Okay.
Or so. Mm-hmm. Something like that. Anyway. So we're thinking this is a Thursday to 2 Mondays later movie, right? Just to really zero in on it.
I think so. Yeah.
I want to make sure we hit every hour as we do this plot.
Clearly every day, Patrick's been going to Colm's door around 2 to call on him to go to the pub.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And every day he's been going to the pub with him and making, in his mind, aimless chat.
Mm-hmm.
Not
idle
aimless. Chat. Good normal chat.
There's normal chatting.
Yeah, it's just good. It's hard to describe it and not just say, you guys should watch the movie if you haven't yet. The performances are great. It's just, this first time when they're at the pub and he's like, maybe I should go back for him. And he does. And Brendan Gleeson slips out the back door when he's at the front. Mm-hmm. Then he's already at the pub when he gets back. And he's like, I'll take my pint outside if you don't go outside.
Yeah, abrupt. So abrupt.
And he's like, it does seem like we're rowing.
Yeah. When I watched it for the second time, because I watched it for the first time back in October around when it came out. And then I watched it for the second time on the plane on the way here. I was like, when I first saw Colm be so rude to him and I was like, how did I have a conflict about what I thought was right or wrong? Because he's being so mean, but then he like dials it back later, and then it becomes a little bit more like you understand where he's coming from, and I was like, oh, okay, I understand why I was so like torn about this.
The first day he's trying to go completely cold turkey and not even explaining really to Patrick what's happening,
right?
Which is rude.
So unfair.
What his original plan was like, all right, I'm just gonna act like he doesn't exist anymore, and this is gonna be fine.
Yeah.
Like, you don't even have a phone and you're ghosted him.
But then day 2 is the day where he like goes out to sit with him outside on their patio seating, and is like a little nicer to him.
It's like, I came on a little strong.
Yeah. Which is the first of many times that Patrick mistakes him being slightly nicer to him as the whole thing is off and we're cool again.
Yeah.
And that's when Robbie, he tells Siobhan to meet him later for a sherry. And then when she's coming down later, he's storming away. And then she runs in and says, you know, what's the deal with you and me fucking brother?
Yeah.
He's just dull. Well, he's always been dull.
Right. Well, she's like, well, but what's changed?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a great scene. Kerry Condon playing Siobhan, his Patrick's sister. She's amazing in this movie. She's so good.
She is good.
I'm so bummed she didn't win.
Yeah.
I am too, because then I would have probably beaten Pat. But
That's what's important.
but also for merit reasons. I mean, she's just, the whole thing's on her shoulders. It's really the only person who gets out of this well is her for leaving and just getting herself out of Inisherin. And it sucks and it's painful, obviously, but yeah. But this first scene where she and Gollum are interacting is like, he might be right that she kind of gets where he's coming from, and she might be one of the only other people on the island that does get where he's coming from. And I feel like even more than Mrs. McCormick, the actual Banshee, she sees herself going down the Colm path at some point of just being like a miserable old bastard. And that's what she's avoiding when she gets out of Dodge.
I also thought like Colm making this decision to change something about his circumstances like kind of prompted her to want to change something about her circumstances too. You know, of like, whoa, you can just decide to do something differently.
Yeah. And for her, it has to be leaving. She even says in that early scene, you know, when he says like, oh, I want this to like matter or whatever. Yeah. She's like, you live on a tiny island off the coast of Ireland. Yeah. Nothing is going to happen. Yeah. What are you waiting for? So yeah, she has to get out. She does. So it sucks for Patrick though. Yeah. We haven't mentioned Dominic yet. He's already been introduced at some point here with his stick.
I love Dominic so much.
Yeah. Barry Keoghan as a customarily kind of squirrel energy sort of weirdo as he normally plays.
Does he normally? I haven't seen him in anything else, I don't think.
Yeah, anytime he shows up, you're like, ooh, something's gonna be weird. He was in the Eternals, so he's in the MCU, and as a superhero. No one else saw that, but I did.
I saw it.
And yeah, but you didn't remember him in it, right?
Oh, no. I didn't remember until you mentioned who he was. Yeah. But no, he was he was in love with the deaf girl. Yeah. Or he wasn't the deaf guy though. No, he wasn't deaf. He wasn't deaf. Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
He was the guy that could like control minds, I want to say. Okay. He had like a creepy work camp in the jungle. Yeah. The Turtles was a weird movie.
Yep.
But again, always creepy vibes. He had a very small part in Green Knight. He ties Dev Patel up and steals his shit. Who among us, though, you know? I don't know. He's been in a bunch of stuff. Killing a Sacred Deer was, I guess, the last time he worked with Colin Farrell. And as an Irish guy, he's talked about how cool it is to work with Colin Farrell. Oh. You know, Irish people sticking together and stuff. He's great in this, though.
He's so good. I'm so disappointed he didn't win supporting actor. I mean, like, I get it. That K, whatever his full name is.
Key one, yeah.
Yes. One, and like, he's just the sweetest guy. But like, acting wise, I think Barry deserved this supporting actor role. He was so good. Every line is hilarious and like just fire. And like so heart-wrenching, obviously, if we'll get to that. But like, oh my God, he's so good.
Yeah, he was so much better.
Oh,
it's really tough. He's going to have other opportunities is probably what, voters are thinking. And they love a comeback story and stuff.
I know. They love the story. I get it. I love the story too. I'm just saying he was so good.
He's so good. And I feel like it's tough, especially in this movie where the other guy nominated for Best Supporting Actress, Brendan Gleeson, has a lot of stillness to his performance. That really in any role, it's just really hard to not come across as sort of goofy when you're doing that much at all times. He's like shifting all the time and he's got like a million tics.
Oh, yeah.
And
my God, yeah.
He's kind of operating as the comic relief.
Right.
But he can still come across so sincere and just guileless.
Mm-hmm.
And the ultimate like turn of the ultimate twist of the knife for Patrick is when even Dominic's like, "Ooh, you got to cool down, man. You've gone over the line."
Yeah.
And it's like, well, even the town weirdo thinks I've gone too far.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how Patrick gets fully Joker-fied. Reference to the fact that Barry Keoghan played the Joker this year too in The Batman.
Oh.
Where Colin Farrell also played a villain. Who knows? Weird. Hollywood's weird. But yeah, they steal that hooch, I guess, from his dad, making it one of the only. I think it's one. There can't be that many Best Picture nominees that had full frontal male nudity, right?
I don't think so.
That was aggressive.
I didn't mean to look directly at you when I was asking. It's just the way the mic's pointed.
Let me check my notes.
No.
Yeah, no, I thought that was a very funny scene when he's asking him what his sister looks like naked. Like, well, you saw my dad naked, and I wish to the end of my days I had. Yeah, he's got a small brown cock.
Yeah, just every line from Dominic. It's great.
Every line is so good.
Yeah. None in Avatar, right? No.
What?
Are you trying to figure out about full
Male
frontal
nudity.
nudity?
Yeah. They blurred it and everything everywhere all at once, or else there would have been.
Right. Yeah.
Oh.
So I don't know what you're
Kinda
counting for that.
counts,
It's like a half.
Yeah,
Was there
it's
any in Triangle of Sadness? There was definitely
There
close.
really might have been.
Everything was
But I
so
don't
gross.
think
I was trying not to
so.
look anyway.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, that's particularly that montage.
Yeah.
There might have been, but I don't really remember.
Oh, I think there might have been like some side ween.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not quite such a sustained.
You said
know,
frontal. That's right.
Yeah, shot down the barrel, so to speak.
Honestly, I didn't even notice it till the second time because I wasn't like, it was dark. So I wasn't like looking directly at his crotch. I just was like, whatever, it moved on. And then they mentioned like seeing his cock. And I was like, I don't think I picked that up. And then the second time I watched it, I was like, oh yeah, there's just a dick right in front of me.
Yeah. After the aftermath of that, of course, Dominic gets beat up. They say that he can stay with them, and that's the first church scene.
I don't know how. Even the second time, I didn't put that together. That was the catalyst for him getting beaten up. I just assumed his dad beat him up for like. But no, clearly he was like he's gonna be angry, and he's like, hey, he's gonna be angry anyway.
Well, right, yeah, and maybe he would have gotten beat up anyway, probably. But that at least in that situation,
it was because that's a cool like.
And even then, and it's like so dark, but he says, I wouldn't have minded if it wasn't for the spout because he beat him with a kettle.
Yeah.
It's still funny. It's so dark, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, for that time, it was probably a killer joke. It wasn't even dark.
They go to church, and this is the first confession scene.
Oh.
These confession scenes are so good.
Yes. Yes, they were.
Yeah.
He says, I heard you haven't been speaking to Patrick.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a sin, is it? No, but it's not very nice.
No, it's just not very nice, is it?
Yep. How's the despair? A great line.
Oh yeah, that was good.
Sure, when McDonagh wrote that line, he's like, I don't care what happens to this script, that stays in. he asks him like if he's having impure thoughts about Patrick, and then he turns it around on him. Are you having impure thoughts about men?
Oh my God.
Yeah. And then the priest starts yelling
He
at
gets
him.
so upset.
You better hope I don't die before I confess again.
Yeah. Then what had happened? I'd be fucked. And then the priest starts yelling, "You'd be fucked." Great. Yeah.
If I saw that happen, I'd be like, all right, I'll go to that church.
That's just Catholicism. You're not missing anything.
So can I just say, I know this is really dumb, but I hated in the confessional scene that the shadow on the priest's face was the cross, but it was like when the other camera angle, you could see
It
that
should be
his
blocked
face
by
was
Brendan
blocking
Gleeson's
the
giant
light.
head, yeah.
And I just couldn't stop thinking about that.
You got to allow some.
I know. I was like, all right, you wanted this cool beam of light on the priest's face.
It looks
Fine.
so good,
but like,
though.
you're making it very clear that that's not actually what's happening here.
He was
fine.
he was ducking.
It was like also hitting his nose. Like, it was like,
It was just
very
it was
clear.
framing his eye.
Yes.
Where in like the 90
He's-
degree angle.
He's very Irish and he's like transparent. It just
Yeah.
But I was like, fine, I'll allow it. But I was thinking about it.
that's why they didn't win any Oscars.
I think it's just good creative license. You gotta let it happen. Yeah. And then that's when he gives him the ultimatum.
Is that when that happens?
You didn't think we were following the plot, but he runs to the pub and says, "You can send your sister, or like don't send your sister or your priest. Like we're done."
Right. And he says,
I didn't send my sister, but I did send the priest.
yeah.
You got me there.
So he gives him the ultimatum, and if he talks to him again, he's going to cut off a finger.
And everyone's pretty sure that he's serious.
Yeah.
Except for Patrick.
Yeah, and the bartender and the guy who hangs out and repeats what the bartender says. It's like you probably shouldn't talk to him.
I do like how they all
you probably
jumped
should
to
just shut up now.
They all jumped to that. Like they were like, oh well, now Patrick's the bad guy because like if he cuts off his finger, it's clearly his fault. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm following this logic.
I don't think they quite jumped to he's the bad guy.
It's not necessarily the bad, but they put the onus on him now. They're like, oh well, the person in the situation that needs to chill out is Patrick. And it's like, I don't know if that was quite the takeaway I got.
I don't know if it's a chill out thing so much as they're like, he's gonna do it, so can you please stop talking to him?
No, I know. It just they seem to, you know what I like. It didn't seem to be like whoa, he's crazy, man. It was just like, okay, Patrick, see, he's at this line.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh.
You ever given a friend an ultimatum? Anybody?
Not like that.
me like
I don't know if I've ever given a
Like
friend
that?
a kind of ultimatum.
Like Sydney got up and left. She doesn't want to talk about it.
No, it was dark times.
So no.
I'm not a fan of ultimatums personally, so I don't think
they're
I've
not-
ever given one.
Yeah, there's
No.
it doesn't work for anybody.
No. No.
Did you think he was going to cut off his fingers when he said that? Like, did you believe he was going to do it?
I thought he might.
Okay.
When I saw it in the preview, I actually didn't realize that was going to be a plot point, like the main plot point. I just thought it was like, oh, what's going to happen with those friends? Like, I don't know. But I think in the movie, I believed it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I believed at least one. I didn't think he was gonna go full.
I think that's what I thought. I didn't think he was going to go full hammed.
But I was like, what about the
Even
music?
his thumb. Like, he really went for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah.
It kind of throws out my whole like, how does he support himself? Because I don't know what you do after that. You got no fingers.
He just doesn't care.
Maybe he's a music
I think
teacher.
he wanted the challenge. Yeah.
He wanted a challenge, yeah.
But, yeah.
Like Van Gogh,
yeah.
suffer for his art or something.
Something. Yeah.
Or something. Well, that guy suffered a lot for sure.
Oh my God.
When does it happen that they're down at the post office / place where he delivers the milk?
That happens a couple scenes from now, but in between is the dinner scene where Dominic comes to dinner.
Oh, stays for dinner. Okay.
Which I thought was a great scene. Apparently not very memorable for the room.
It just took me a second.
Dominic asked her if she was never wild. She takes offense and great confusion to the question. There's an amazing back and forth with Condon and Keoghan there, where he says, she says, like, my brother told you you could only stay if you didn't ask any dumb, if you didn't talk dumb. And he said creepy, not dumb. She said, well, you failed on both counts, haven't you? And he said, I have.
Oh man.
And then she storms off to bed. Just great. Just great.
Yeah.
Just amazing work all around.
So good. He really thinks he can shoot his shot.
Yeah. He's a
to be fair, they did seem to be like two of the only people on the island. There wasn't exactly a lot of options. I guess it was him or his father.
There is no one his age.
No.
Or
what is
age.
his age? He's kind of young, right?
Late 20s, 30?
You think?
Something like that.
Oh, I thought he was a little younger than that.
And she's probably, what, mid-30s?
Yeah.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
I think all the other young kids were fighting in the war.
Yep. It's
good
probably
point.
fair. That's a good point.
I was kind of like wondering, like, yeah, I guess everybody left. Like,
Yeah. And
Patrick
if he's playing
is probably
younger,
like
maybe
40s.
they didn't want Dominic to go.
Yeah, well, he could be younger than we think too. He might be like 16. I don't, you know what I mean? Because he might have been.
What he's supposed to be. I don't know.
I got the sense that he was kind of young, but I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, he was still young to be getting beat by his dad. You know, I don't know if that normally continues into your 20. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keoghan's 30, which is what I was going off.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, but it makes a lot of sense too when you think of how empty it was and how everyone there just did seem to be like an older guy too.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was just interesting too when he was like, "Oh, did you see the cannons and the gunfire?" And it's crazy that it was just like across the like you go swim over to battle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what we haven't mentioned yet is the fact that Dominic lets his animals come in the house, which is super cute.
Yeah. Yeah. And
No, not Dominic. Sorry.
Patrick. I was agreeing. We all knew what you meant.
Yeah.
The line later on where he's like, "I'm not putting my donkey outside when I'm sad."
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
Just makes it hurt that much more. What happens to Jenny later?
Yeah.
Especially, I think donkeys are supposed to live like 35, 40 years, something like
They
that.
live a good long time. Yeah.
They gotta-
Some of them do. Not the ones this Oscar season.
No.
So many bad
What was the other
Oh,
movie with the?
over 3?
Yeah.
I think on donkeys this Oscar
There was
season?
3. What were the
Triangle
other
of
two?
Sadness.
Yep.
That was violent.
Yep.
And then EO.
Oh, I
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so over 3 and between Best Picture and International Feature.
Not great.
Yeah. Yeah, EO is weird.
It was very weird.
I think I liked EO. But
Was it?
I didn't enjoy it.
Was it
Right.
more brutal than the Triangle of Sadness one?
Triangle of Sadness is almost played for laughs, whereas EO is played for like creeping horror and I don't know, like horrible depression.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like, it's super sad.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And it's all about the donkey.
Except for a scene where Isabelle Huppert seduces her stepson.
Right. Otherwise, all about the donkey.
Interesting. These Pornhub plots have gone out of hand.
You can keep it, Poland. Stop beating up your donkeys. It's fucked up.
What country was Triangle from?
So, I don't know. Ruben Östlund is Swedish, but it was so embraced by France, and I'm not sure who the production company was. Might have been Canal, which is France, which is French. I'm not sure.
Interesting.
I'm not sure what it counts as. To your point, up soon, meaning the scene after the dinner scene, is Patrick goes to town on his lorry, goes to deliver milk to the lady
Store?
who also has the mail and is just like the worst.
Gossip Queen.
But that's just their general store, so they probably also took care of the mail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's,
Yeah.
I've seen a Western. they had that back then too. In America by the 20s, we had post offices though, surely.
I mean, I think this is an island apparently of about 20 people, so
That's true.
lucky they even have a post office.
Yeah. This horrible lady demanding stories. Verbal abuse if you don't give her a good story.
Well, I mean, to be fair, there's no TV. That's the best entertainment the island has to offer.
So nosy.
But Dominic's cop dad is there and is trying to like one up Patrick just because he sucks. And then Patrick's like, and this guy diddles his son, basically.
Oh my God. I was like, whoa, Patrick.
Yeah.
You are
trying to get murdered. Because I was like, I don't think this guy has a boss on the island. He seems to be their police officer.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
He's like, oh, well, you're under arrest and you're guilty.
Right, yeah. Yeah, that guy sucked.
Yeah, he was the worst.
He goes back to his cart. Guy punches him. This scene's awesome. Where forgot his name, Brendan Gleeson Colm helps him back up, and the whole scene where they're driving back and Patrick's just like sobbing, but they're not talking.
Yeah.
And then he gets off and Patrick, they go their separate ways.
I feel like it contributed to the mixed message that Patrick received.
Well, that's the problem.
I know.
Patrick's just too dim to understand.
Yeah, which I get because it was confusing. I mean,
I shouldn't say he's too dim because obviously he wouldn't like that, but yeah.
Do people say he's dim?
He does seem disgusted by the idea of reading, so.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that was Dominic. Never mind.
Love the scene where he's like, where the sister's like, yeah, it's Dominic by miles. And he's like,
well, who's second?
So by miles means there's a second. Who's second? Yeah, you don't want to know, Patrick. So yeah, but that scene's amazing. Just some great freaking work. And then that leads into the confrontation at the pub. The whole you used to be nice speech and the Mozart, and it's a super well written thing.
Confronts him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the cops there and they're yelling and stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that shit's just fantastic. What good writing.
It is, but it ends up being another thing that reinforces the confusion about what Patrick is supposed to do or not supposed to do.
Yeah. Because Dominic overhears the part where Colm says that it's the most he's ever liked him after he yells at him. And the line delivery that Farrell ends that scene on is like ridiculous. Just high level shit where he repeats, you used to be nice, or maybe you never used to be. Oh God. Maybe you never used to be.
Yeah.
And he just kind of, he's in such a high register in his voice, but it's so soft. And he just sort of lets it hang and leaves. Fuck.
It's very well done.
Yeah. He does say some nice things about Siobhan in that.
He does.
In that.
It's also like.
And the Mozart joke's good. The fact that Colm gets the century wrong is funny too.
That is funny. It's also like where he gets to make his counterpoint about why being nice is more important than like having a legacy, which like I don't really get having a legacy. So
yeah,
no. And I mean, having a legacy is a maybe. Being a nice is a guaranteed. Like you can,
if you try,
can make the people around you's life better. You probably can't leave a legacy.
Well, he is nice until then he flails around and he's not really very nice eventually.
But. We'll talk about it.
Okay. All right.
Maybe.
All right.
And time. That's it.
Yeah. And he, I think this is when he does the first finger.
He comes to his house the next day, or he says like, I'm sorry, I shouldn't.
Yes.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have done that. I don't really know what I said.
Yeah.
And then whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. And Colm's like, why won't you just leave me alone?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good beach. Colm should just be, yeah. I mean, I kind of get it. If Colm literally wants to be left alone and just like sit in his, period version of an Adirondack chair on his cool beach and just vibe, I get it. But, he doesn't have to be so mean. But yeah, that's one of the scenes on the beach there.
Yeah.
And then he takes his first finger off.
I want to know when he trained his dog to fetch the shears and why.
No. Oh, those shears. Ugh.
Yeah, they got like the most freaking haggard looking cheers.
As soon as they were like, he's gonna cut his finger off, and I'm like, okay, and they're like, and he's gonna use this. I was like, oh, so this movie dies with him dying of infection.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's gonna be the plot. Like he did it, and like now he slowly dies from infection. Like,
yeah, but it moves into like almost magical realism territory with the amount of blood that isn't coming from all those finger stumps, especially when he does the next 4.
Well, he like cuts it off, and he's just like, okay, and I'm like, he doesn't wash it, it's not wrapped.
Right,
like,
yeah. He doesn't wrap it until the next day, I guess.
It's just like moist out. I'm like, you're doing everything possibly wrong for wound care. Sorry.
And that he's also
Jordan's gonna pass out.
that he's also basically fine.
Yeah, he's just
I know.
Like stable wise.
I also
He looked a little pale on the last one.
That's fair. He has lost a lot of blood.
I also
He's bleeding all over the pub and his fiddle and shit.
Yeah.
There was also a finger losing theme in movies that I watched this year, and I don't have a great so The Menu also has a finger getting chopped off, and I feel like there was another one, and I was trying to remember what it was, but every time I see someone like starting to get injured, I'm like, no more fingers. I can't take it.
And then he throws it at the door. They don't really know what to do with it. They put it in a shoebox.
Yeah, he calmly brings it inside, and I feel like he's trying to be like, how can I get away with not saying that there's a finger in my hand, right, or my pocket, or whatever?
Yeah.
He brings it in. Yeah, that was bad.
Siobhan responds appropriately, being really freaked out. And then I love the next scene. It's just a shoebox with obviously like blood and donkeys and shit are trying to get at. And Patrick's just very calmly like, well, I'm gonna go bring it back to him.
Siobhan's like, are you mad?
The one time where she's just straight up like, are you actually stupid?
Are you fucking stupid?
Why would you think that's what you should do with this?
No, like it's over. You have to let it be done now.
I mean, to be fair, you're presented with someone's severed finger. What are your options of getting rid of it? Do you just put it out in the garbage? Like,
right. Yeah. And that's Patrick's point is he's like, well, we shouldn't keep it here.
should I have do I bury it? Do we want to do like a little gravestone, like Holmes' finger?
And so she takes it and brings it to him at his house. And this is that great scene where he says that Patrick's boring. She says, you're all feckin' boring. You men are all feckin' boring. Again, Condon's amazing in this movie. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's great. And this is also where Colm brings up the option that he might just be trying to amuse himself.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like that's kind of the thing where she's like, you're all fucking boring. It's like you're saying your conversations with Patrick are boring, but you're both part of this conversation. You have the ability to change what you're talking about at any point. Like maybe you're boring too, man.
Mm-hmm. And he is. They're all fucking boring.
Yeah. But she also I feel like that's where she's got the thing where she's like, I kind of get it, right? Where she's like, I guess you're just trying to do something to get by. She's
trying to not really agree with him, but
He's both of you get it though.
Yeah, both of these times that she's confronted him, he has been like, but you get this, right? Mm-hmm. And this is the time where she pushes back and he's like, no, you do. I know you do. Because he says, it's the end of him saying, maybe I'm just trying to amuse myself to stave off the inevitable, which you understand. She's like, no, I don't. Yeah, you do. And they both deal with it in their own way. And that's probably where she decides that she has to leave because she's gotten the letter in the mail already at this point, I think.
Yeah, because she applied, or they just know that she reads a lot of books and they reached out.
Yeah, she's famous for being the only one who reads books.
You're one of 5 people alive that reads books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just good shit.
Yeah.
And so after that, there's a montage.
There is?
Yeah. There's a bit of a montage where they do leave each other alone for a while. The really wonderful score is playing. And then this is when Colm has the student come to visit him. The music student comes to visit him, which Patrick sees and is jealous of. So he makes up a fun lie on the spot.
Oh my God.
Which again, so darkly funny. It's just a hilarious scene.
There's a lot of bread trucks. It's not that unlikely. It's just that my mom was killed by a bread truck.
He tells the guy that his dad's been hit by a bread truck and is on the
Life
20s
support.
equivalent of life support. Is about to die, so he's got to hurry back to the mainland so he can be with him in his final moments. And he's like, well, this is the same thing happened to his... If it's the same bread van, I'll kill him.
I'll kill him. Oh, man.
It's great. And then...
It's so uncomfortable to watch Patrick try to, like, I don't know, flail around.
Outsmart someone.
Yeah. And just like try to, outsmart or get the better of the situation or like, I don't know. Ugh.
Be a bad person.
So cringy.
It is cringy because, you're like, he's embracing the dark, bitter side.
But he's trying to and he's not being good at it.
Because he's so good, though.
I know.
He's got a heart. It shines through.
I know.
We'll come back to that. And then there's the scene where he hides from Mrs. McCormick on the road behind the stone wall, but of course it doesn't work.
Right. He
And
turns
she
around the
tells
corner
him.
and she's right there.
Yeah. Before the month is out, a death will come to Inisherin. Maybe 2 deaths. Let's hope it's not you and Siobhan. That's not a nice thing to say, is it? I wasn't trying to be nice. I was trying to be accurate.
That's why people avoid you, you know.
Yeah. Again, this is why people don't want to talk to you.
It's always death this, death that. How about
Yeah.
have a nice day, Mrs. McCormick?
Yeah. And then there's the really great scene of Dominic and Patrick, where Patrick is like kind of gloating about his, great bread van gambit.
Yeah.
And Dominic's like, I used to think you were a nice person.
Right.
You're not. You're just like the rest.
Yeah.
You might be the worst.
Yeah. And then he's like, no, I'm one of the nice guys. And Dominic just like shakes his head and leaves.
Well,
Yeah.
so the other people are shitty, but they're just shitty. They're not making a conscious choice to be shitty. He has a really good point with you might be the worst of them because he's the only one, it seems like, on the island with the capacity to know not to be shitty. Like he's the only one who is acting nice. So you know what it just means a lot more coming from him where he's making that choice to be shitty instead of like it's against his nature. I don't know. It's just interesting.
And then comes the most... this and the Juilliard scene in Tar, maybe the most taken out of context and posted on social media. The scene with Dominic and Kerry Condon at the lake.
So good. And tragic.
I didn't know it was taken out of context, so I'm interested to hear this.
Yeah. How's it? I don't see the internet.
Okay. So the weird film Twitter thing was somebody who is dumb posted a clip of it saying that it broke the 180 rule, which is if you have a conversation, you're supposed to imagine that there's a straight line, 180 degrees, and the camera angles, you're not supposed to cross that because then it's less easy to follow. You're supposed to stay like on the same side of that line. There's 2 characters. The camera angles are just crossing like that to each one.
Okay.
And this does break that at one point in this scene. And then other people were posting it as like, wow, look at this amazing acting performance from Barry Keoghan. And that's most of how it got shared too, is people more and more were like, holy shit, this guy's fantastic here.
Oh, so originally it wasn't about the acting. It was just about explaining the 180 degree thing.
In my mind, because I am thankfully not 100% online, I'm not sure which one came first, but
Okay.
both happened on film Twitter. So, but yeah, it's just a great scene. Another thing that if you're Martin McDonagh, that stays in the script no matter which draft it came in on was there goes that dream.
Yep.
Holy shit. Good shit. Breaks your heart. And I think that's the last time you see Dominic alive, right?
Yeah.
Which makes sense.
And
Considering.
they're at the edge of the lake and he says, I'm going to go over there and do that thing I was going to do. And then the next time you see him, you're like, yeah, he drowned in the lake. So
Right after saying there goes that dream, and the old lady said there's a death coming, maybe 2. So the answer to our question probably was what determined.
oh, jeez. Yeah, maybe, right. I don't think that was ever really in question, though. The question he was asking, but
what do you mean? Yeah, no, I don't think it was ever going. But like,
Yeah.
it just when you think about her saying maybe too, I've been trying to figure that out for a while now. Like, why was it maybe? And like,
Jenny.
I think
the
that
donkeys.
yeah, no, but like, I think.
well, I thought it was whether or not Patrick was going to kill Colm.
Oh, really?
Oh, I
Okay.
had a different take.
Yeah.
That's all. I think these are all valid, and this is why anyone can be a real life banshee because you just have to be vague, and everyone else can be like, oh well, she got really close, and we all actually have a different idea. As long as one person dies and one person almost dies,
Or one almost person
one
dies.
almost person dies. Yeah.
And I'm sensing their name begins with.
Yeah, she's just cold reading. There's only 20 people. She's known all of them since birth.
You like see like the behind the scenes she pushed Dominic in.
Yeah, she's like, oh, I'm getting a message from. It's like, yeah, everyone's grandparents. Like, anyway, yeah. As we come out of this fun bit, such a tragic scene.
It was so tragic. I mean, I just love watching him get through the whole, like, he didn't have a plan for what he was going to say. And
Yeah, it's so
she just
painful,
lets him
but-
go through the whole thing, because, like, what else can she do but just, like, say no when he gets the question and just, like, be very clear about no, never, but, like,
Yeah. But
What a
she
terrible
does
position.
try to do it nicely, which I
Yeah.
appreciate because the only times you've seen them interact, she's been just very
True.
anti-Dominic.
true.
But she's just like, yeah, she kind of gets that it's, I guess, a big deal for him.
Yes.
So she does sort of, let him down easy.
She does use a lot of her energy dealing with the second stupidest person on the island.
Yes.
She's like, okay, let me get this straight. The second stupidest person on the island is my brother, and now the first stupidest person wants to marry me. I gotta get out of here.
And I mean, the way he phrases it is perfect, right? You ever see yourself falling in love with a boy like me, I think is what he says.
Yeah.
No, I was thinking no. But maybe when I'm your age, it's just so tragic.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I was thinking no.
It's rough.
This gives me chills.
It's heartbreaking.
Yep.
Especially he was so horny before when there was girls in the pub when they were playing the violin.
Oh my god, I know.
I was like,
We're
oh
gonna get the girls to
man.
come over here.
Yeah.
It's like, dude.
Oh.
Yeah, what does he say? Like, if we were sitting next to Colm, then
They'd have
have
to
to
talk to us.
us.
Yeah.
And
And he was like, he was
And
so
we could, like,
fidgety.
dazzle them.
Like, his performance, and it was so, like, you could tell he was like chomping at the bit. He's like, I need to speak to a girl right now.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
so good.
He was
Like his
very good.
performance
He's
is so
amazing, yeah.
good.
It was very good.
yeah. I'm excited to see what he does next because he's good in everything. If you haven't seen Killing of a Sacred Deer, that's a Yorgos Lanthimos movie. He made The Favorite from a couple years ago. The Lobster. I don't know if any of you saw that. Another Colin Farrell movie. But Killing of a Sacred Deer,
Sounds sad.
maybe his best. It's not like a chill hang, but Colin Farrell and Barry Keoghan are in that too.
Does a deer die?
It's more metaphorical,
Okay.
but yeah, I mean, I don't know.
All right.
Maybe look up a description of the
All right.
plot. I honestly don't remember. So yeah. Then Patrick goes to confront Colm because
Well, because doesn't Dominic give him the idea to do it?
yes, he thinks maybe he just needs to stand up for himself.
Yeah. He's like, you know what? I think you just need to teach him that you're in
Yes.
control of the
In
situation.
the conversation before he told him about the Brett Van thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe this has been a test to see if you can stand up for yourself.
Which is,
And yes, the second dimmest man on the island taking tips from the
First,
the
yeah,
dimmest
that's
man.
exactly. I was like, oh man, they
Yeah.
got one brain cell between the two of them, and it's drunk.
Yeah. And Colm is like kind of intrigued by this vibe at first. You can
yes.
tell.
Oh God, yeah.
I feel like Brendan Gleeson.
Sick, though, right? To be like half intrigued and then half
That's-
get about to do something really messed up.
Yeah. Yeah. He's like, ooh, I'm going to cut so many fingers off. After this. I love Brendan Gleeson's performance in this. I think it's understated, but he is walking that line of like, he's not just like the stoic kind of warrior poet that he's pretending to be. He is supremely fucked up.
Yeah.
And he does get something out of Patrick being mean to him.
Yeah.
He likes it for some reason.
Yeah.
It is not, maybe he doesn't like someone being mean to him, but he does think Patrick's more interesting.
It is more interesting. I mean, he's not talking about donkey shit. He's coming up with creative insults and, getting in his face. Like, there's some passion about what he's talking about finally.
When he, like, kicks in the door and he's like, all right, you asshole, we're going to talk about this. He's like, okay, go on.
8 out of 10 entrants. Continue.
Yeah. I'll allow it.
You bought yourself 5 minutes.
Oh, he's also super, isn't he also super pleased with himself because he just finished the song?
Yeah, well, he's dancing with his dog.
Right.
Oh,
It's a nice scene.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't normally dance with my dog. He's like,
like,
no, I love it. Dance with your dog whenever you want.
I'd dance with my donkey if I could.
Yeah. If I knew how.
Yeah, I feel
And
like
if she knew how.
Patrick hadn't come back. I mean, I feel like he just went too far at the end, didn't he? Didn't he like just try to come on a little too strong at the end before he
Patrick
left?
or
Which one?
Patrick at the end.
I'd say Colin went a little too far. But you said,
You're right.
At the end,
Yes.
I just think he like
Just like, okay, so we're gonna
It's
go
all-
back up to the pub and have a beer then? Everything's
Yes.
back to
Yeah, it's-
normal?
if he had left it
Yeah.
at like the conversation about
Yes.
the title of the song and he was just like,
Right.
all right,
Yeah.
later.
I wonder what would have happened, right? Because it's like when you try to break up with someone and then you think you can be friends for a second, and then before they leave, they're like, "Oh, but it's just it doesn't." I
Yeah.
think that's what
No,
he
it doesn't
did.
work.
Yeah.
Well,
Like,
I'm just saying, he
You're
came
so
back
right.
in it, and you're like, oh, shit, this isn't gonna work out because you're gonna keep trying to come back.
You're totally
He
right.
should have like just left and went to the pub, and then he would have sat and they would have like nodded to each other, and then the
Right.
next day,
Yeah.
He like can't keep the boundaries established. Like he
No,
thought
he
he was able to
doesn't
do
get
it,
it.
so he's like, I got to chop off the fingers. Then.
yeah, right,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this,
And you know what? That's right. What I was saying at the beginning, like there was the option to be like, we only hang out 2 days a week. Maybe there wasn't, because he was like, if I give him an inch, like, no, it's either cut off my fingers or
that
Yeah.
seems to be the case, right? Because we see that there is
it will even took
that
more
Colm
than one
does
finger.
allow some leeway in the ultimatum a few times that they interact and he doesn't cut off a finger. It has to be within. He has to not ask him to go to the pub. That's it.
It's very confusing for behavioral training, though, when you're not consistent with
Exactly,
what you
yeah.
say
Yeah.
and what the consequences are.
So this conversation has the great discussion about the title of the song, which is Banshees of Inisherin.
Right.
And we all do the Leo meme pointing at the screen. That's the name of the movie. Yep. And he says he just likes the double SH sound.
Ah, yes.
But then he wonders, like, maybe there are still banshees. Maybe they just don't scream to portend death anymore. But maybe they are content to sit back and idly observe, amused.
I wrote that down.
Which is
one-page
what the
notes.
old lady does the whole movie. She does portend death, but not by screaming. She is clearly amused the whole time. And over their final confrontation on the beach, she literally pulls up a chair and observes. It's almost hacky writing, but it works so well for me.
It is interesting too, because like it's weird to see this older character being like, how long was it since your mom died? And she's like 6 years. You know what I mean? It's like, why are you still here if her parents are both dead? Like,
Right, yeah.
some bad luck.
But
Unless
Colm's,
she's a banshee.
but Colm's idea of like, the banshees don't need to portend death anymore. They can just let things play out because it's going their way already is pretty rich. And I like it. That's cool. But then, yeah, like you guys said, Patrick is just like, he could have left it at that.
Yep.
And I honestly think it would have been fine because there is that leeway that Colm's been allowing. But no, he invites him to the bar, and that's the last straw. He cuts off the remaining 4 digits on his hand.
The dog goes and gets the shears.
Yeah. At first, I thought he was going to hide the shears.
Me too. I was
did
like,
too.
the dog doesn't want him to do it.
There's
but I don't
there's gonna be like a yakety sax scene where he's chasing
Yeah.
the dog trying to get this.
But not quite. The dog just goes to his position, I guess, because he knows he's got to go outside. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway.
It's like, here's the shears. I'm out of here. Didn't he do the other hand too? Or was it just...
No, he still has one whole hand.
He does say he has one
Yeah,
whole
yeah,
hand.
yeah. Just as all the other fingers on the...
There is a great line in the conversation before Patrick leaves at the beginning where he says, I've got 10 fingers to prove I'm not insane. How many do you have? That I'm not mental, yeah. How many do you have? He said, I got 9. Well, good.
Exactly.
So, yeah, he throws him at the door.
Oh.
A thunk, 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 thunk. Pretty visceral stuff.
Oh, God, yeah. You see him throw them all.
Yep. This is, while that's happening, Patrick is getting the news from Siobhan that she's leaving.
Right.
And so they're arguing as they're going back to their cottage. They pass Brendan Gleeson going the other way.
Just dripping blood.
Dripping blood. They see that he's thrown the fingers. Crucially, do not clean them up.
Nope.
Mm-hmm.
And she packs and leaves immediately.
Yes. That is it. That is 4 more reasons to get the hell out of here.
Yep. She was cutting it close with that boat, I guess. if she was going to allow some time to explain and then left hurriedly, I don't know.
Yeah.
She only had like 8 things to pack.
Yeah.
She couldn't even bring her books.
That
all she
amazing
had.
shot of the cliffs.
Mm.
Oh yeah, it's all she had besides the obvious.
Right.
And then they hug. It's a great scene.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, poor Patrick does not want her to leave, but he does wave bye.
Yes.
But of course, also the old lady's there,
Yeah.
just being ominous.
Mrs. McCormick is also.
Can you just not?
Give a minute to myself. How do you know when things are happening to me? She's always getting tipped off. He's being Truman showed by this one lady.
She just chills at the post office.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, she goes away on the boat. Good scene, waving cliffs. Then by the time he gets back home, Jenny's tried to eat a finger.
Yeah.
And it didn't work. R.I.P. Pour one out for a real one. Jenny the donkey. The real Jenny the donkey, alive and well, retired in Ireland still. So despite what Jimmy Kimmel said, that was not Jenny the donkey.
At
What?
the Oscars last night, that wasn't actually Jenny.
No.
Wow. Well,
I'm
change.
so relieved.
Well, it just looked very uncomfortable. I didn't think she should have to come all the way here.
No, they shouldn't fly donkeys.
No.
Fine. I just thought there was an actual celebrity there.
Yeah, I know, right? No, that was just some random miniature donkey who hopefully was okay.
It was funny
that's
too because
a lot of
somebody
people-
at the party was like, Donkey doesn't look very comfortable. And somebody else at our party said, well, they were, on camera. They must be used to it. And no, I guess not. That's why it looks so uncomfortable.
Well, I'm sure it's still a show.
A show donkey.
A crowd of that many people, I think, is probably intimidating to anyone.
Yeah. Including a donkey.
It said it was a certified comfort animal, but that doesn't necessarily mean
I think that was a
that's
joke.
like training and shit. Can you make that kind of joke? It's like a
Wait.
legal distinction, right? It had the vest.
I don't think that means anything.
It was a
Vest.
sparkly vest. But
Pretty
still.
sure that
That's
was
a
a joke.
legally binding sparkly vest.
I don't think so.
I don't know. I mean, I think you're supposed to say when things are ads on broadcast television, yet the Little Mermaid thing was presented as like a feature. So I don't know. Let's see what the FTC says. Anyway, that was not Jenny the Donkey is the underlying point to take away. She is retired on just hanging out in Ireland.
How did they do a fake dead donkey?
I was about to say the fake dead donkey.
I think it's just to
actually,
build.
it looked real fake.
Did it?
I just really didn't. It was really disturbing to me how fake that dead donkey
Oh,
looked.
I didn't have that same thought.
Okay,
but
well, good.
It must have been comforting.
It was actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. He gets really sad. He is now fully Joker-fied. And he buries Jenny.
He snaps. You're already frustrated that your best friend is being crazy and
Yep.
now you're a donkey and your sister leaves.
Yep.
And this where he runs down to the pub to confront Colm, and Colm's like, all right, I did all 4 fingers. Let's call it quits. He offers to shake his hand. Patrick turns him down, says, no, your fat finger killed my donkey. So we're taking this to our graves. One of our graves, at least.
Colm is genuinely upset about having happened.
Yeah. And I think this is where he tells him he's going to burn his house down.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'd prefer if you're in it, but I'm burning it down either way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the cop comes and is giving Patrick a hard time, and Colm punches the cop.
Oh, yeah.
Good job, Colm.
Yeah.
He just died. Show some respect.
Show some respect.
I do love that everybody like takes that as like a legitimate, like everyone's like,
Well, besides the cop.
I think,
Which is why you get punched.
He didn't, I don't think he knew at that point. Cause I think even, you know what I mean?
Well, he
Like,
starts making fun of his donkey.
oh, no.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm a little rusty.
Yeah. I watched it earlier today.
Son of a bitch.
In general, though, very animal friendly movie, I think, in terms of like the dog being, it's very nice.
Yeah, they all seem to have like an understanding, like they're more like companions than like servants, which is what you normally see in those farm environments is like, these are my money makers, not my friends.
Yeah.
True.
This was nice to see.
And then it's the second church and confessional scene. He says he's got like almost nothing to confess. The priest is like, aren't you leaving out a couple things? Says you punched a policeman.
That wasn't
Gleeson.
a sin.
Like, that's not a sin.
That definitely wasn't a sin. I'll defend that one.
Gleeson has a great delivery on if punching policemen is a sin, then we should all just pack up and go home.
Perfect. Gleeson says ACAB.
Yeah, exactly. And then he says, well, it is, self-mutilation is a sin, one of the biggest ones. Like,
Got you there.
all right.
Yeah.
Oh, it is it? Well, you got me there.
Was that his actual line?
I think he says something like that.
Like he got me 5 counts of it or
Or
something.
something like that.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, times 5.
That's the perfect response.
And then he really, solemnly asks him again, how's the despair? It's back a bit. He says, you're not going to do anything about it? I am not going to do anything about it.
I don't know why. I found that like whole like how's the despair? Like just even asking, like you are asking a man that just chopped off 5 of his fingers how his mental health is. Like that is not a question you need to have. But you know
So
what I mean? Like,
it's just back a bit.
It's been like that. The response to like just everything about it was so like it was surreally funny. Like, but it made me genuinely laugh because I was just like, this is absurd.
Yep. And then we have a couple, well, not really montages, but things playing out under voiceovers of letters. First is Siobhan's letter to Patrick. She's ensconced, quote unquote, on the mainland, and it's really nice. And it doesn't suck here. And you could probably find work because of the war. Please come. Seriously, please leave Inisherin before it's all too late.
Yep.
But it is all too late because then he burns down Colm's house.
Yes.
Crucially, he takes the dog out. As he's leaving, the clock strikes 2, and he does go back and check, and he does see that Colm is inside still.
I like that quote too. He's like, I don't know why he thinks I'd hurt you. You're the best thing about you.
Yeah.
About him or something like
Yeah.
that.
You're the only good thing about him, or whatever it is. Then it's a return letter from Patrick to Siobhan, him voiceover. You see that he just lets the animals in and out of the house whenever now. He tells her that they found Dominic. You see that Dominic's body is pulled out of the lake with the hook stick that he had earlier.
Which I'm sure she probably has quite a reaction to.
Yeah,
I don't know.
probably.
I can only guess, but I don't know.
He pretends that Jenny is like nuzzling him as he's writing it. Very sad.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
broke my heart. Now, do you think Dominic killed himself or do we think he fell in?
I think he killed
I
himself.
think he killed himself.
I thought he killed himself too. Okay.
He seems like the kind of guy who might fall in a lake
I feel like,
and not know how to swim.
I mean, maybe, but I feel like the scene that immediately preceded it
Yeah.
makes it seem like
Especially right after his.
he was going to act on the despair.
Yeah, no, I think I would tilt towards he probably did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Poor Dominic.
Brutal.
It's interesting, like how lonely of a movie it is too. There's not a single couple. There's not like a single
Right.
happy like family unit. Like everybody is alone and pretty much on their own.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's just really interesting throughout. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're going to come back to that as a theme too. But just to real quick finish it off, he goes and meets up with him on the beach the next day. He brings his dog back to him. He sees that, Colm is still alive. The old lady shows up and pulls up in a chair that didn't get burned to watch them on the beach. And Colm's like, okay, you burned down my house. I guess we're good. And he says, no, if you'd stayed in your house, then we'd have been quits. But you didn't, so we'll keep going.
The burning down the house was really cool too. And I don't know why I pick up on stuff like this in movies, but I love details like this. He had to go and gather a bunch of random driftwood because they're on an island in Ireland. Did you see any goddamn trees anywhere?
Right.
Like they use peat to heat their houses. So it was just funny to see like, oh, he has to go find these random sticks to like actually even be able to burn this down.
Yeah. And he's, they start, Colm is like kind of really calmly taking it all in. He starts making small talk about the war. Well, it seems like they're done. And Patrick's like, no, they're going to be at it again soon. Some things there's no moving on from, and I think that's good. And that's about the last thing they say to each other. Except for as Patrick's walking away, Colm calls to him and says, thanks for taking care of my dog. And a glimmer of a smile passes across Colin Farrell's face.
Yeah. I think they're going to end up being friends again.
And then, like, holding back tears, he says anytime and walks away. And that's your Golden Globe winner for Best Comedy.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I see it.
Oh, boy. That is
You
funny.
guys got the laughs from the podcast. We communicated that well, right?
So it's like you said, it's a movie about how all these people are isolated and no one's talking about their feelings. I know that's an easy joke to make about Irish people. So many times throughout the movie, you see people who just are not able to communicate, who don't want to communicate. In Patrick's case, refuse to accept that you should ever talk about your feelings or anything like that. You should just push everything down like everyone else is doing.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, this whole community, you feel like everyone would be a lot better off if you just talked about some shit. And, Siobhan leaves. That's the only way out. This place sucks. No one should live there.
She apparently has
Beautiful.
the largest library on the island, so...
Yeah. Treating her like Belle in the beginning montage of Beauty and the Beast. She reads. What a freak.
That's honestly how Dominic reacts. Like,
Yeah.
what does she do for fun? Reads. He's like, oh, gross. Like,
Yeah, she was never wild. So Patrick is confusing happiness with being nice.
True.
And is he actually nice? Or is there any evidence in this movie that he's a nice person? He's nice to his animals.
I think he's I'm trying. I'm like, I want to say yes, but like, I'm trying to see if I can justify it.
I think he's sincere, which to me is like a part of being nice, but like
Right.
being a genuine person. But like, I mean,
I
what
think
is
he's
niceness?
guileless.
Yeah, but in a sense that he doesn't bring ill will towards anyone, right? Like
Yeah.
he doesn't try to manipulate. He doesn't like try to like, use weird power dynamics. He's just, he is what it is. And he relates to people as he sees it. And it's just kind of, that's it.
Not
you know?
narcissistic.
Right.
he doesn't know gossip. He's not like a gossip monger.
Yeah.
He just wants to show up at 2 and go to the pub with his friend.
Yeah.
I guess you're right that it's more of a lack of lack of bad things than I guess good
Yeah.
things. But ugh.
Well, and he's so sweet with his animals.
Well, he is so sweet with his animals.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know.
Nope. He takes Dominic in to stay the night.
That's
That
one
was
thing.
very nice.
Yes.
He stood up for Dominic to his father at the post office. He might have had some kind of ulterior motive, but like
Yeah.
he did choose to do that. He got his ass kicked for it too.
Yeah.
But he also shouldn't have said what he said. Like, I feel like he
That
said
was,
things.
that was sort of in a fit of pique of just like he just doesn't know how to play any kind of social game.
Right.
I don't know. He's a really selfish person.
Yeah.
You agree?
I mean, like, I get that because I was thinking in my head after. I was like, yeah, I mean, he does, like, there's a lot of like self-motivated action here, though, in terms of like he really is doing a lot to get.
Because he really
Colin
could
to
just
talk to
leave
him.
Colm alone.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Yeah,
Right.
it's all for him.
True.
Yes.
He doesn't really show a lot of concern for Siobhan except for when she's leaving.
No, he shows no concern
No,
for
I
Siobhan
know.
at all.
He also, I don't think, knows how to like give her what would make things better for her. You know.
No, he can't. He really can't relate to her that much.
Right.
He just doesn't
Yeah.
have the capacity for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe he's
Maybe.
also not trying.
Yeah, that's true. Like he also doesn't go out of his way to try to figure it out.
Yeah.
To your
Yeah.
point, though, it's not manipulative. Like that's how,
Right.
it doesn't feel manipulative. It feels kind of dumb.
Right.
Yeah.
But,
Simple.
Yeah.
I did look up the wild thing if anybody's curious.
Yeah. He's just like, were you never loose? Is basically what he's saying.
So it's
right.
it usually means very passionate and attractive in a sexual way, and the term is generally used as a slang to tease the person.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
All right.
I like that.
That's I thought from context that's what he was saying.
Yeah.
Just I don't know. I wanted to know what it actually meant. I've never actually
appreciate
heard
that.
it.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
helpful.
Yeah.
Oh.
Was I never wild? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I guess. Yeah.
I'm not saying I don't think he's a nice-ish person. I don't think he's like an exceptionally nice person.
No. Yeah. I think you've kind of sold me on that. Like he doesn't go out of his way to actually be there for other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh?
He is like very explicitly concerned about himself when Siobhan's leaving.
Yes. Yes. The first thing he asked was, "What about himself?"
Yeah.
I guess it's just the animals that got my heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and the genuineness of it, right?
Exactly.
There's
Him-
something that I just,
Yeah.
appreciate in
He
people.
also
And then like the first, he really messes up that guy's day with the bread van thing.
Oh God.
Yeah.
It's a really mean thing
And he
to
does
do.
condescend on Dominic a lot.
Yes.
Because he wants to feel better than someone else.
It's true. It's just like it's in such a way that he's a child. You know what I mean? Like that's how it feels. And so like in that way,
Yeah.
it's hard to think that he's like an evil or bad person.
Right.
doesn't seem like he has a lot of opportunities to be kind either. Like there just doesn't seem to be like he didn't have a lot of options where I was like, oh, he chose to do this or that. It just either seemed like he had the bad choices that he made or like he was just going about his life. I don't know. Maybe they didn't just give us enough.
Well, yeah, he could have chose to just gone about his life.
He could have. I mean, there's another way to interpret it too, that Colm was clearly having a mental health crisis, pushing his friend away, and his friend was trying to like stop him from being in a dark place.
Which he kind of did think a little bit. In a way that he was belittling him a little bit, but like, he's like, this is just depression.
I mean, they didn't really know
You
what
don't mean
depression-
anything you're saying.
It's not that he wanted to help him. He wanted him to
Right.
push it down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And just go to the pub with him again.
Right.
He just wanted to go to the pub.
Yeah.
I don't think it's like a slam dunk argument or anything. I think it's an interesting way to think about the movie too.
No, for sure.
I don't think there's a bad guy here. I think everyone's reacting poorly.
Right.
Besides, eventually, Siobhan, by taking the only logical option of getting the fuck out of this situation.
Yeah.
I guess, but like, so what's the end result of that? Everybody, like, we just abandon the island because it's a lost cause. Do you know what I mean?
Not for
Like,
everyone. For
there should
for
just
her,
be
and
an island of
certainly
miserable people.
Patrick
Because the
should-
island does seem to be the problem. Like, everyone on that island is miserable.
It's women talking. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's like Community when they decide it's the table in the study room that is the cause of all their problems.
That's what, like, I feel like at some point you kind of have to start fixing the shitty island.
So, but what are you saying?
No.
I just want to know. All right. You don't want to be on record about your opinions about women talking?
No, I'm not. I'm just saying the idea of like you're just gonna leave them there to be like shitty people.
Yeah.
That's how I felt about it.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. Is I'm like that's also kind of like interesting.
Well, you'd think they'd have some stuff to reflect on, I guess.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm gonna have to watch this movie.
So, yeah, I don't know. I think for Patrick, it's just so tragic that he's so single-mindedly into this grudge that Colm, by the end of the movie, has multiple times been like, just fucking let's stop. And Patrick's like, no. And Siobhan's like, there is literally nothing for you on that island that is good. Come here where it's pretty nice. And he's like, no, I got to do this forever now. And yeah, so it is this, as she says early in the movie, when Colm is telling her that he's just dull and he should just be silent, just what the world needs, another silent man, just like pushing everything down, just sucking. And that's what he turns in. He's just like a bitter dude,
It is funny
because great commentary on the world.
I was going to say, when you say like, just we need another silent man, I was like, well, I guess we could use a little more silent men.
That's
and
true.
then you're like just pushing everything down. I'm like, that's the problem.
Just like super embittered, just hardened into this like cycle of negative thought and action. And yeah, he sucks like everyone else now. Maybe he wasn't that nice a guy, but he seemed to be a harmless presence on this island.
Right.
And now he's burning people's houses down. So something's gone wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Does he eventually get arrested? Because the cop's coming to arrest him, but then Mrs. McCormick's like, check this shit out. It's your son. He's dead.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But then I assume eventually
I
the
don't
cop
think
comes back and is like, yeah, but you still did burn that house down.
I think the cop was coming to kill him. I don't think he was coming to arrest him.
Either way.
But like, I think he probably forgot at that point. And I don't know. For some reason, I don't see him being arrested. I know logically he should be.
I kind of agree with you.
But like, I feel like after the funeral, the cop's going to be like,
going to push for it or anything.
That's what I feel like. The cop's going to be like, so you want me to like arrest him? And he's going to be like, meh. And like, they're just going to move on. And there would be like a montage of them rebuilding the house or something.
It wouldn't be that surprising for Colm to be like, no, I'll say it was just like a, my oven fucked up or something.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's not like he tried to put the fire out. He also could have done that.
It took a while to set up.
Well, I think he like was pretty well aware.
Yeah, he was given a time. He could have erected roadblocks.
I'm pretty convinced he saw him setting up and was choosing to not look at him.
Yes.
That's a great shot when he looks in the window and the fire's coming up, and you're like, this makes no logical sense because the branches that Colin Farrell's right next to are very much in aflame. But the shot's so good of him looking through the window in on Brendan Gleeson. Yeah, it's good shit. Anything else about the movie?
I think so. I really liked it a lot, and like mostly because when I left it, I was just like thinking a lot about it, and it made me feel a certain way, and I was just like spending a lot of time being like, man, who was right?
Yeah, I totally agree. This leaves you with a lot of questions that don't have easy answers in a good way.
Yeah.
Not in a, sometimes there's ambiguity with the way a movie ends that's just sort of frustrating to me.
Yeah.
Like I didn't understand the actual action of what was happening on screen. But this, like if you want to look at it on like an ethical level, it had to be someone's job to step in at some point, right? Or just, interpersonal relationship level.
Yeah.
Or just, what we owe to each other kind of level. It's really interesting.
I mean, so I definitely agree. If I'm going to put on my like whatever hat, I don't know what to call it, but like I see a couple of things where Colm didn't set appropriate boundaries. He didn't like exactly explain what he was feeling, what he was thinking, what he was looking for.
Boundaries.
And Patrick clearly needs them. He also could have given Patrick like specific things as what he's doing, but that's probably less so than the boundaries. And then as far as like when you should have intervened, like the whole community should have intervened when he was cutting his fingers off. That's like when you institutionalize somebody, like that's one of the like
a literal danger to yourself.
Danger. And nowadays we would do that. So, but in the movie context, we didn't really even know boundaries were a thing other than like rocks you put around your property and like mental health was a joke. So I don't know. But now we can look at it and say like, yeah, no, Patrick should have respected the boundaries, but Colm could have definitely because he was fully right to say, I don't want to be friends with you anymore. And he also, didn't have to chop his fingers off. He could have also left anytime he showed up. He could have never had any conversation. He could have immediately turned his back. And
right, yeah. Yeah, as they say early in the movie, it takes two to tango. He wasn't completely silent treatmenting him. So, yeah.
They did give us really weird parameters too, because it didn't really feel like there was another option for Patrick. It was like either be friends with Colm
really not
or
that many
no
people.
One. That's what it wasn't like he could have
What's
went to go meet other friends. It was like, well, I guess I have no friends now.
Well, yeah, but then it's like, what if you're Colm? What is your responsibility to other people? Like, do you have to be friends with someone you don't want to be friends with just because they don't have other options? Like, what is your responsibility for other people's happiness? I don't know.
Yeah. And he wanted
Do you
to
have the
completely
right
abdicate
to
that
tell someone they can't be in a public space with you? I guess is the counter to that. Like, you know what I mean? You can say, I don't want to be friends with you. It's just like, fine, but you're in the bar and I'm going to talk at you. You can choose to respond or not.
Yeah, there's one pub.
We
all come here all the time.
Right. And so say he even listened to him and they're all like, Colm's having a conversation.
30 people here.
Right. Like there's 4 people having a conversation. Patrick jumps in and Colm, you know what I mean? You just get to, it just doesn't work. But
logistically complicated.
And that's the thing. They should have been like you said, we say, I don't know, maybe Tuesdays and Thursdays we can talk or whatever. But yeah, I don't know if that's necessarily prescribed. It wouldn't have worked. And that's not the point. I don't want to get too into where his powers come from territory. But
no.
I agree that there needs to be some.
It's just interesting because
to go around.
I feel like a lot of our solutions rely on our communities being so much bigger. And the question is like, what do we owe to each other when the communities are smaller? Like, should somebody in that community be designated as like, yeah, we know this person kind of sucks, but they're one of us and we kind of just, on Wednesdays, you go take him to do something. And yeah, he's annoying, but
it's clear that no one likes the cop. And the village elder is just stirring shit up.
Oh my god!
And that's all she's doing. She's not resolving arguments. She's not giving out sage wisdom. She's just stirring the fucking pot.
Watching the world burn.
There is no one that is like the voice of reason. Even the priest, like who should probably be there,
sucks too.
Yeah, like he should be their mental health leader, and he's just like, well, fuck you, you're going to hell then.
Yeah, he's like the only one acknowledging that issue, but he's not doing anything about it.
No, he's like, hey, you need to see someone.
Yeah, he's saying, so are you going to do anything about it? And the guy says no, and he goes, okay.
All right, Jesus, this one's you.
Say 3 Hail Marys and, do a rosary and you're good.
Yeah.
How do you do a Hail Mary without any fingers?
That's what the beads are for.
Oh,
I got you one at a time. He just puts it around his stub. Right. All right, so do we go to ratings? The costumes in this movie are fantastic. They weren't recognized by the Academy, but I love that they were doing the actual, all the patterns. They're wearing a lot of, purples and greens, and it's not the kind of period stuff that you usually see. It's so freaking tactile. You just want to touch it.
I did like
really
the pants.
Pick it up on as period, so I think that's kind of a praise. It just fit,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's tartan patterns and shit. It's fucking cool. Let's get into ratings. Every week we'll put the ratings from this on our Letterboxd. That's Late to the Movies on Letterboxd. It's hard to find anyone on Letterboxd. Just do your best. And you can give it a scale. Well, yeah, you can give it a scale, but you can give it a rating from 0.5 to 5 on any scale of your choosing, as long as the scale is not stars. Has anyone got one locked and loaded?
I can go.
There's one really obvious one.
Well, yeah.
Okay, well,
We'll see who takes it.
I'm gonna take it.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm gonna give this 4 bloody phalanges, 4 bloody fingers.
4 bloody fingers.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it 5 distant cannonball fires out of 5.
I'm going to give it 4.5 tiny brown cocks out of 5.
Yes. We all have to keep our brand strong. I appreciate your efforts in that area.
You got to put that on the
What are
letterbox.
you going to give it?
Oh, well, I'm very thrown off now. Yeah, that'll be on our letterbox. I only update the letterbox every month or so, but so that'll be in a tranche that I do in May. Yeah, okay. We'll just do 5 miniature donkeys.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
to every donkey in
Jenny.
every movie. This year.
Good point.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for being on, Lindsey
Yay.
and Robbie. Forgot Robbie's name for a second. Jordan.
Bye.
Bye. You can find us on, that letterbox I already mentioned, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcast, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Podbeans, and any other podcatcher. It seems to be put everywhere, even places I've never heard of, which is a fun surprise sometimes. You can also just listen in your browser. I don't know why you would, but you can go to the website, Late to the Movies pod. .fireside.fm. I've never plugged that before, but if for some reason you just want to have a browser window open, you can do that. Go to the TeePublic page. The ladies episode will be out by the time this records or later this week. You can buy a t-shirt with the ladies logo. There is a reference to Banshees of Inisherin on that t-shirt. Go check out the design. Maybe you can find the reference. That just about does it for us. So, Robbie, again, was you never wild?
I was, yeah.
Thanks, guys.